The Quran is an extremely sophisticated text, and it deals with Ahlul Kitab in a very sophisticated manner. And an example of that today that we'll look at is Surah Al-Ikhlas. There's so many amazing things about this surah, but the angle by which we'll look at it today is how it, number one, confirms the Shema that Moses taught, while number two, refuting the Nicene Creed that the Christians fabricated. So let's look at that in more detail. The surah begins by saying, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, say he is Allah, one. And this confirms what Moses taught in Deuteronomy 6:4. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Ahad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. So there are two ways in which this corresponds to Surah Al-Ikhlas. Number one, Moses says, Shema, hear, listen. And Allah begins the ayah with Qul, say. Shema, listen. Qul, say. Listen, say. Here's a correspondence. Number two, the word used in the ayah is Ahad. Allah is described as Ahad, one. And this is the same word used in Deuteronomy 6:4, where God is described as Ahad in the Hebrew. The same word is used. And we know this is significant because if you look elsewhere in the Quran where Allah is described as one, the Arabic word Wahid is used. But here, Allah does not use the word Wahid. He uses the word Ahad, which ends up matching and agreeing with the original Hebrew of Deuteronomy 6:4. It's also, of course, relevant to note that Jesus himself affirmed the Shema. In Mark chapter 12, he quotes the Shema and he affirms it. So that's the first aspect. The second aspect is how the Quran engages with the Nicene Creed, and we're going to see that the Quran ends up refuting the Nicene Creed. So we're going to compare the beginning of the Nicene Creed with the surah. So the Nicene Creed, it begins with, we believe in one God, and this corresponds to the first ayah, say he is Allah, one. The Nicene Creed continues. It describes this one God. It says he is the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, of all things visible and invisible. So it's describing God's creation, his Rububiyyah, his lordship. And the Quran, it says Allahu Samad, Allah the sustainer, needed by all. Similar content. Then the Nicene Creed, it continues. And in one Lord Jesus Christ, the only Son of God, begotten from the Father before all ages, God from God, light from light, true God from true God, begotten, not made. Whereas the third ayah of Surah Al-Ikhlas, it is Lam yalid wa lam yulad. He begets not, nor was he begotten. And then the Nicene Creed continues. It says that he, Jesus, is of the same essence as the Father. Whereas the surah ends by denying the idea that there is anyone equal to Allah. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ, and there is no one equal to him. So not only is the contents of the surah matching and even refuting the Nicene Creed, it's doing it in order. It's going through the beginning of the Nicene Creed in order, confirming the top, but refuting the bottom, and refuting the idea of God being Jesus' Father, and Jesus being like God, and whatnot. So in this sophisticated manner, the Quran refutes what the Christians fabricated while confirming what the messengers came with, which is the Tawheed of Allah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is one, as Moses taught and as Jesus taught.